You didn't get here by accident. And I need to prove that to you before anything else, because if you believe it was the algorithm, you'll watch this video just the same way you watched all the others that already warned you, and you'll leave here just as you entered. So let me describe the last 3 days of your life, and you decide if this is a coincidence. In the last 72 hours, you woke up at least once between 2:40 and 3:17 in the morning, for no apparent reason, with the feeling that you had forgotten something but couldn't name what. There was a moment, yesterday or the day before, when you were doing a mundane task, washing dishes, driving, waiting for coffee, and the name of a person came to your mind unbidden. And that person isn't just anyone. It's someone specific, someone linked to a cycle you swore you had closed. You felt at some point this week a restlessness in your stomach that is not hunger, not clinical anxiety, not fear of anything concrete. It is a continuous vibration, as if something inside you were being recalibrated without your permission. You opened your phone at least twice in these last 3 days, with your hand itching to send a message that your rational side knows you shouldn't send. You almost clicked send. You closed the app, and you were left with the strange feeling that you had dodged something important, or that you had missed something important. You don't know which of the two. If 3 of these descriptions hit home, this video is a directed transmission. If 5 of them hit home, then stop what you are doing, close the door of the room where you are, and listen until the end. Because you have been intercepted in time, and in time is a window much narrower than most people imagine. The new moon in Gemini on June 15th is not a pretty astronomical event to post a photo on your story. It is an operational point on the year's energetic calendar, and in the next 36 to 48 hours, exactly the corridor between the 14th and the peak on the 15th, something inside you will become visible. And what will become visible is not what you want to plant. It is what you are still willing to keep carrying without realizing it. It is the difference between these two things that defines whether the next 28 days of your life will be a refined repetition of what you have already lived, or a real change of trajectory. And here is the problem almost no one notices. Most people who feel this intensity will do exactly the wrong thing. They will act. There is a large group, the sleeping crowd, who will feel this same tingling you are feeling right now. They will attribute everything to work stress, to PMS, to insomnia, to too much coffee, to the chaos of the news. They will take a sedative. They will go on social media to get distracted. They will decide they need to put a stop to something and will send the impulsive message at 3 in the morning. They will break up, get back together, make promises again. And when the new moon arrives on the 15th, they will plant on top of dust still in the air. They won't know that this window was open. They will only feel, at the beginning of July, that something didn't work out again, and they will start the next cycle thinking the problem is the universe, when the problem was not having the internal infrastructure to read the correct signal at the right time. You do not belong to that group, not because you are superior, but because something inside you is already structured enough so that instead of reacting, you are here, standing still, listening. This is rare, and that is exactly why this transmission works for you and doesn't work for the majority. Now let me dispel a fantasy, because without this, the rest of the video is useless. The new moon will not come down and save you. There is no portal in the sky that will hand you a new life because you did a ritual with a white candle. A portal is not an astronomical event. It is the turning point where the cost of staying trapped in your current life becomes greater than the terror of taking the next step. You take the step, and then the ground appears. Never before. That is the mechanic. The new moon only does one thing. It amplifies what is already in motion within you. If what is in motion is fear, it amplifies fear. If what is in motion is neediness, it plants a cycle of neediness. If what is in motion is uncomfortable clarity, it plants clarity. The moon is neutral. You are the soil. And that is why the 14th and 15th of June demand the opposite of what you imagine. They do not demand action. They demand conscious deactivation of 4 specific impulses that will try to capture you. I will list each one with the precision this corridor requires. The first impulse, making a permanent decision while in a state of temporary confusion. In the next 36 hours, your nervous system will produce a sensation that looks a lot like clarity. But it is not clarity. It is emotional discharge. The difference between the two is technical. Real clarity is accompanied by bodily calm, even when the decision is painful. Emotional discharge is accompanied by acceleration. You feel urgency. You feel like you need to solve it now. You feel that if you don't do it today, you lose the chance. This, if you don't do it today, you lose the chance, is the exact sound of the trap. Because real decisions do not have a 48-hour expiration date. If a decision needs to be made at 3 in the morning because it's obvious now, it is almost never obvious. It is reactive. Do not end a relationship during these days. Do not start a new one. Do not promise marriage, partnerships, business ventures, moving cities, or changing careers. Do not make permanent commitments based on a 12-hour sensation. The new moon is soil, not a signature. What you plant with a trembling hand, you will harvest with a trembling hand for 28 days. The second impulse, sending the message just to relieve the anxiety in your own body. This is the most common and the most destructive. It works like this. A person from your past appears in your mind. It wasn't a thought you invited. It entered on its own. Your brain, which hates tension, translates this as a sign. It will tell you that if this person appeared, it's because the universe is stirring. It's because there is something to be resolved. It's because maybe they are thinking about you at this very moment. And so you open the app, you type, you delete, you type again. Let me translate what is happening in your neurology at this exact instant. The anterior cingulate cortex, which processes rejection and loss, is in a state of hyperactivity due to the energetic field of this window. It triggers a signal of discomfort. The hippocampus, which stores emotional memory, opens the file of that specific person because it is the file with the highest unresolved emotional charge. And the amygdala translates all of this into urgency. It hijacks your prefrontal cortex. You are not receiving an intuition. You are receiving an automatic chemical reaction to an electromagnetic field that is passing through your system. And the message you want to send is not for the other person. It is for your own body, asking the sensation to stop. But the sensation will not stop when you send the message. It will come back stronger in 48 hours with the answer or with the silence, and then you will have reopened an 11-month cycle just to try to relieve an 11-second sensation. That is the math. If a name appears in your mind uncalled during these 2 days, I want you to do something different. Take a piece of physical paper, write the name. Underneath, write a sentence. What is this name trying to remind me about myself? Not about the other person, about you. Because every figure from the past that reappears in a lunar corridor is not coming back to be recontacted. It is coming back to show a part of you that still lives in the emotional field of that time. The third, impulse to return to a door you knew needed to stay closed. It might be a job you resigned from, and now in the midst of this intensity, your mind starts to romanticize. It wasn't that bad. I had stability. I belonged to something. It could be an addiction you quit. It could be an eating pattern, a destructive routine, a city that was suffocating you. It could be a thought about yourself that you were beginning to let die, and which now returns with a strange force dressed as objective truth. The new moon in Gemini stirs the axis of mental narratives. Gemini is the sign of internal language, of the stories you tell yourself about who you are. That is why in this corridor the old phrases return. I am not capable. I have always been this way. Maybe it's better to accept it. Who am I to want this? These phrases are not reality. They are old code trying to reinstall itself before the system is updated. If you believe them in this specific corridor, you won't be being realistic. You will be signing off on the next 28-day cycle based on old code. The fourth impulse, ignoring the body. This is the most technical, and perhaps the most ignored. Your body is already organizing physical signals 6 hours before the exact peak of the new moon, and most people will interpret this as fatigue. The vagus nerve, which connects the brainstem, heart, lungs, and gut, enters a pattern of reorganization in these corridors. You may feel tightness in the sternum, not pain, tightness, as if something were being squeezed from the inside. You might feel weight on your shoulders, specifically in the upper trapezius, as if you were carrying something you cannot see. You might feel a locked jaw upon waking, a diffuse headache, a sudden urge to cry for no identifiable reason, dysregulated hunger, hunger at 11 at night, total lack of hunger at noon. You may have dreams of old settings, childhood homes, schools, dead people giving practical messages. None of this is an illness. None of this is a coincidence. It is your system warning you that what you are carrying exceeds the capacity that the next cycle can hold. If you ignore these signals, they don't disappear. They transform into denser symptoms over the course of the next 28 days. Now I need to show you something that no one tells you about this window. And here I want you to pay double attention because it is the point that separates those who use the portal from those who are used by it. There is a difference between knowing what needs to be released and having the structure to truly let go. Almost everyone watching this video right now knows, deep down, exactly what they need to leave behind. You aren't here because you don't know. You are here because knowing hasn't been enough for the last 4, 5, 10 previous new moons. You heard the signal, identified the pattern, wrote it in your journal, did the candle ritual, burned the paper, did the guided meditation, and 28 days later, you were back at the same point, with a refined version of the same pain. Why? Because the problem was never a lack of awareness. It was a lack of protocol. Insight without a daily track does not become change. It becomes frustration disguised as evolution. Comment the word Iuveyo now if you can feel that this window has already begun within your body. It's not a pretty phrase. It's a declaration of identification. Whoever comments Iuveyo is energetically marking that they have received the transmission before the peak on the 15th. Whoever doesn't comment will watch, close the video, and on Thursday will be doing exactly what I just described. There is an operational difference between knowing what needs to be released and having the structure to truly let go. The first is insight. The second is architecture. That is why I built Magia M28 Exercicios as 28 Chaves do Despertar, 28 daily protocols, aligned with a complete lunar cycle that take this exact window in, that you are in now, and transform them into applied code. It is not a course for you to learn about shadows, signs, and inner direction. It is the daily track that forces you to integrate these 3 layers in 4 weeks, even on the days when your willpower fails. Each of the 28 keys dismantles a specific layer. Key 3 dissolves the pattern of sending the message that reopens cycles. Key 11 separates saudade from a sign. Key 19 installs the decision you have been putting off for months. It was designed for those who feel different, overwhelmed, stuck in repetition, and tired of reading about transformation without having a system that forces it. The link to join is in the first pinned comment right below this video, and the entry window follows the current lunar cycle. After this new moon, the next insertion point only opens 28 days from now. If you have waited this long to find a structure like this, waiting another 28 days is a conscious choice, not a coincidence. The first pinned comment. Join in or watch another cycle pass from the outside. The body is already organizing physical signs 6 hours before the exact peak of the new moon, and most people will interpret this as fatigue. You do not have that luxury now. You need to learn to distinguish the 6 disguises that your mind uses in this specific corridor, because each of them has a different energetic signature, and each demands a different operational response. Disguise number 1, saudade dressed as a sign. You are doing some random activity, and suddenly you feel a wave of saudade for a person, a place, a version of yourself. The wave comes accompanied by images. It comes with mental music. A specific song from that time plays in your head unbidden. Sometimes it even comes with a scent, and your mind translates, "This is a sign. I should get in touch. I should go back there. I should revisit." It is not a sign. It is the limbic system doing involuntary emotional archaeology. Real saudade, when it is genuine, comes accompanied by peace, not urgency. Saudade that triggers urgency is unnamed need masquerading as a noble feeling. Disguise number 2, fear dressed as intuition. You feel a tightness in your chest when you think about doing that thing you decided to do. Quit your job, end the relationship, move to a new city, launch the project. And your mind translates this tightness as, my intuition is warning me not to do it. It is not intuition. Intuition does not tighten. Intuition informs. The tightness is the amygdala identifying potential loss of known territory. It is your inner animal protecting the old cave. Real intuition is silent. It is specific. It is unaccompanied by drama. If the intuition came with palpitations, doubt, and looping thoughts, it is not intuition. It is well-produced fear. Disguise number 3. Neediness dressed as clarity. You wake up in the middle of the night with a certainty. I need to resolve this with such and such person. I need to commit to this relationship. I need to define this now. This certainty arrives with the appearance of a revelation. You get up, write in your journal, decide you will act in the morning. But in the morning, with your nervous system regulated, the certainty is no longer there. That is because it was never clarity. It was early morning neediness. Neediness always presents itself as decision-making urgency at 3 in the morning. Clarity has no preferred time. Disguise number 4. Fatigue dressed as evolution. I am tired of trying, so perhaps I should stop. The phrase sounds wise. It sounds like healthy letting go. It is not. Genuine fatigue calls for rest. Fatigue pretending to be evolution calls for abandonment. And abandonment dressed as evolution is the most subtle mechanism of self-sabotage that exists in lunar corridors, because it disguises itself as maturity. Disguise number 5. Impulse dressed as courage. You feel a sudden force and you act. You send the message, you post the truth you had been keeping. You expose your feelings, you end the relationship. Afterward, you feel light for a few minutes. But in 3 hours, the lightness turns into a hangover. That's because it wasn't courage, it was an outburst. Courage is cold, it is planned, it is executed without immediate relief. An outburst is hot, it is impulsive, and it always demands a price afterward. Disguise number 6. Fear of change dressed as I need to think about this more. This is the final disguise, the smartest one. When you know exactly what you need to do but feel that it's not the right time yet, that the idea needs more time to mature, that maybe next month. This disguise is what keeps intelligent people in 5, 10, 15-year cycles, because it masquerades as prudence. But real prudence has a deadline. If I need to think about this more has lasted more than 90 days regarding the same issue, it is no longer thinking. It is anesthesia. These are the 6, and in the next 2 days at least 3 of them will try to capture you. Now what to do? There is a protocol I recommend for the corridor of the next 36 hours. It is not a magic ritual. It is an internal operation. 14 minutes performed twice, once on the night of the 14th, again on the night of the 15th. Take a physical sheet of paper, pen, no cell phone nearby. In silence, write a single sentence at the top of the sheet. The truth I have been avoiding admitting to myself is... Then let your hand write. Do not filter. Do not embellish. Do not look for the right phrase. Write what comes out, even if it is ugly, contradictory, petty, immature. If it comes out, I still want to impress someone who no longer serves me. Write it. If it comes out, I am afraid of discovering that I am capable and will have no excuses. Write it. If it comes out, I prefer to stay where I am because leaving here would force me to look at a part of myself I don't want to see. Write it. Afterward, turn the page. Second sentence, what I am not taking into this new moon is, here, you name it. No concepts, concrete naming. A person, the name. A pattern, the operational description of the pattern. A thought, the exact phrase that this thought uses. A need, the specific need without makeup. I am not taking the need to be understood by my mother. I am not taking the expectation of return from that person. I am not taking the thought that I need to have everything solved by December. I am not taking the habit of checking his profile at 11 at night. After writing, fold the paper. Do not burn it, do not tear it up, do not make a spectacle of it. Place it under something heavy, a book, a plant, a stone, and sit in silence for 5 minutes doing absolutely nothing. No music, no incense, no cell phone, just silence. These 5 minutes are where the nervous system reorganizes what you have just admitted. Without them, the exercise becomes a note. With them, it becomes an installation. 24 hours later, on the night of the 15th, you take the same sheet. Do not reread it. Just place your hand over it and ask a single internal question. Is this still true? If yes, leave it where it is for another 7 days. If it no longer is, you can dispose of the sheet however you like, but most will feel that it is still true. And this permanence is the sign that the new moon has planted on clean soil. Comment now below this video a single word that represents what you are not willing to carry into the next cycle. It can be fear, it can be waiting, it can be comparison, it can be silence, it can be approval, it can be guilt, it can be longing, it can be haste. One word, no explanation, no justification. The word alone is the act. I need to tell you a quick story because it illustrates exactly the cost of ignoring this corridor. A woman I follow, 34 years old, on the day before the last new moon, felt exactly what you are feeling right now. Tightness in the chest, a name appearing, a message itching at her fingertips. She decided at 2 in the morning that it was a sign. She sent the message, 3 sentences, polite. I hope you are well. I was thinking of you. Maybe we should talk. The reply came the next morning. They started seeing each other again. 11 months later, at the beginning of this year, she was sitting in front of me describing exactly the same pain she had come to describe 11 months earlier, only now with the aggravating factor of 11 more months lost, 3 aborted attempts at change, and a new physical sensation, that of having betrayed herself. The 2 a.m. message wasn't a sign. It was a discharge, and that discharge cost 11 months. Another case, a man 42 years old during the new moon of January this year. 3 days before, his jaw locking upon waking. Heaviness in his sternum, recurring dream of an old house. He ignored the 3 warnings. He thought it was stress. On the peak day, he planted an intention rooted in fear. He asked deep down for everything to stay as it is, but for it to get better. The universe delivered exactly that. Everything stayed as it was. And because it was bad, worsening was the only possible direction. By March, the situation had escalated into a concrete crisis. Health, money, and relationships all at once. The new moon did not punish him. He punished himself for planting with fear. Because fear planted in lunar soil germinates as more fear in an amplified cycle. You are at a choice point now while you listen to this, and I want to be direct about what this choice means 28 days from now. Imagine yourself on July 12th, opening your phone in the morning. If you use this window consciously, you will be looking at an internal reality that no longer carries the weight of that specific pattern. You will have done the thing you'd been putting off. You will have stopped checking that person's profile. You will have managed to make the decision without the tremor you'd been feeling. It won't be perfection, it will be relocation. A weight lifted. Now imagine the other scenario. July 12th, same time. You open your phone and feel that you are in exactly the same place as on June 12th. The message was sent. The person replied or didn't reply, and both results hurt. The decision wasn't made. The dietary pattern returned. The thought about yourself remains the same. And the next new moon is already approaching, and you feel that specific tiredness of someone who has missed another window. Both scenarios are available. They are not metaphorical. They are concrete results of which version of you decides what to do in the next 36 hours. If you are not subscribed to this channel, understand one thing. Every video I publish is a coordinate within a larger map of the year. This June 15th new moon window is just one point on that map. The next videos will show what happens in the post-new moon corridor, how to read the 7 days following the planting, and what to expect from the first quarter moon. Without this sequence, you will only receive pieces of the map, and a piece of a map in an energetic corridor is the same as having no map at all. Subscribe now, turn on the notifications. These are mechanical gestures with an energetic effect. You are telling your own system that you intend to keep reading the terrain instead of walking in the dark. I will recap, because the next part of what you are going to do depends on having this glued to your cortex. On June 14th and 15th, do not make permanent decisions in an altered emotional state. Do not send the message to relieve your own body's anxiety. Do not go back to the door that you knew needed to remain closed. Do not ignore the somatic signs, the tightness, the heaviness, the jaw, the dream. Do not mistake longing for a sign, fear for intuition, neediness for clarity, tiredness for evolution, impulse for courage, or anesthesia for prudence. Do the 14-minute protocol twice. Comment EU vejo if you felt that this window has already begun in your body. Comment the single word of what you are not taking with you. And if you felt, at any point in this video, that you need a denser structure than an isolated video can offer, the link to Magia M28 Exercicios is in the first pinned comment below, and the next enrollment window only opens 28 days from now. The new moon in Gemini will not ask you what you want to start. It will ask you which old thought you're willing to stop repeating. That is the only real question, and you can only answer it if you have the courage to admit, in silence, with no one watching, what you had been avoiding admitting until now. What you heard today was the preparation, the complete reading of what will happen between the 16th and the 23rd, the post-planting corridor that decides whether what you planted takes root or dissolves in a week, is in the video that appears now in the corner of your screen. Click on it. The first 60 seconds will change what you expect from the next 7 days. It is not an invitation. It is a continuation of the map. Those who stop here will only use half of what they received.